Hello and welcome to another episode of Infobotts. This is episode number 064, and I am your host, author Frederick Fishman. Today and every day we are sponsored by me, so for all of my links to my books and apparel and gear, go to my main Infobotts website at Infobotts.com, spelled with 2 T's at the end, Infobotts.com. And you can also help us out and show your support by visiting our Patreon page at patreon.com/Infobotts Podcast. Okay, let's get started. Today we talk about the country, India. India, officially the Republic of India, is a country in South Asia. It is the second most populous country, the 7th largest by land area, and the most populous democracy in the world. Its capital is New Delhi. The population is 1.4 billion. It is bounded by the Indian Ocean on the south, the Arabian Sea on the southwest, and the Bay of Bengal on the southeast. It shares land borders with Pakistan to the west, China, Nepal, and Bhutan to the north, and Bangladesh and Myanmar to the east. In the Indian Ocean, India is in the vicinity of Sri Lanka and the Maldives. Its Andaman and Nicobar Islands share a maritime border with Thailand and Indonesia. In the early medieval era, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, and Zoroastrianism put down roots on India's southern and western coasts. Modern humans arrived on the Indian continent from Africa no later than 55,000 years ago. Their long occupation, initially in varying forms of isolation as hunter-gatherers, has made the region highly diverse, second only to Africa in human genetic diversity. Settled life emerged on the subcontinent in the western margins of the Indus River basin about 9,000 years ago, evolving gradually into the Indus Valley civilization of the 3rd millennium BCE. India has been a secular federal republic since 1950, governed in a democratic parliamentary system. It is a pluralistic, multilingual, multi-ethnic society. India's population grew from 361 million in 1951 to 1.2 billion in 2011. Currently, its population is about 1.5 billion. During the same time, the nominal per capita income increased from U.S. $64 annually to U.S. $1,498 annually, and its literacy rate from 16.6% to 74%. From being a comparatively destitute country in 1951, India has become a fast-growing major economy, a hub for information technology services with an expanding middle class. It has a space program which includes several planned or completed extraterrestrial missions. Indian movies, music, and spiritual teachings play an increasing role in global culture. India has substantially reduced its rates of poverty, though at the cost of increasing economic inequality. India is a nuclear weapon state which ranks high in military expenditure. Now you may be wondering, why all of a sudden are we talking about India? Well, I will tell you in just a minute. But years ago, I had a beginning interest and affinity for India. Several decades ago, I had a co-worker, Raj Trivedi, who worked with me in the entertainment business in Los Angeles. We became friends, and he would talk often and glowingly about his home country, India, and I was fascinated by his stories, and I became hooked. And now, many years later, I have yet another connection with India. My host for this podcast and my Visit the Zoo Animals Central podcast that has been running for 2 years has been Captivate.fm. They are a small company located in northern England. Captivate just offered immediate distribution in India for my 2 podcasts. So I pushed the go button, and my audience for this podcast, Infobotts, suddenly, over the last several weeks, exploded. It has only been 2 weeks that it's been live in India. It is live on Jio7 with 100 million active users and Ghana with 150 million active users. Now I live in southern Arizona near Tucson on the boundary of the Saguaro National Park, which is a hot and dry desert. We are 13,187 kilometers or 8,200 miles from New Delhi. That's air miles. A flight would take 17 hours. I know absolutely no one in India now, and yet, in a period of about 2 weeks, my downloads from India is double the downloads I get from the United States. I'm stunned by this statistic and at the same time happy and excited that this podcast has caught on so quickly in India. So for this podcast, I want to express my sincerest thanks for you, my new Indian audience. I appreciate you, cherish you, and feel so thankful for your support and listenership for the Infobotts Podcast. Now that I know you are listening, I will try to cover subject matter in the future that might be of interest. If you have something you'd like me to touch on, just email me at fred@infobotts.com. So, now you know, and thank you for listening to another episode of the Infobotts Podcast, and you can support our efforts here to bring you Infobotts each day by going to our Patreon site at patreon.com/Infobotts Podcast. Join us again for another episode of Infobotts. Bye-bye.